I think horror as a genre really engages an audience with A, like what's happening on screen, right? But also B, what's happening off screen, what's happening behind the protagonist, what are the motives for these people, what do they look like behind the mask? It just like prompts you to think of all these questions that you might not have during like a viewing of a comedy or an action film, and yeah, I think as a genre it just makes it so much more frightening to kind of have this unknown kind of undercurrent throughout the whole film. It just adds to the fear and the terror of what the strangers are.
I think we were the second production ever in SAG to do 3 movies at one time. So the idea of being able to challenge myself as an artist and an actor, and then also, I guess, you know, coming off of a TV show where you get sent a script the night before, or maybe after you've already shot scenes and you have no idea what your character's doing, like the attraction as an artist to have the arc of 3 films right in front of you where you can really flesh this character out and find all the points that you want to find and answer the questions that you need to answer was really exciting to me as an artist. Exhilarating, bone-chilling, which is one word, and long. Watch all 3.
Dreadful. In a good way. In a way
Every time
that
you say
a
that
horror
word,
film.
it's amazing. It makes me laugh every
In
time.
a way that only a horror film can be dreadful. Dreadful, grounded, frightening. Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of things. I think horror films in general are meant to be seen with other people, and I think that there's kind of a funness in the community of everybody shrieking together and actually freaking other people out more when people jump, and there's kind of a community in that. And I think, especially for people who didn't get to see the 2008 original when it came out, this is a kind of new audience that we get to bring it to and hopefully invigorate them to go watch the original as well. Yeah, I think also there's like a bigness about it, if you know what I mean. Like it feels very big, the sound is very full. The way that we've mixed these movies is you can, like, we've isolated all of the speakers in each theater, so like different things will happen in different places. So you really get the full experience by sitting in the theater and getting to see it the way that the filmmakers wanted to make it.
Yeah. What attracted me to Ryan was his like spite. I want to say his like there's an edge to how much he stays on mission and how little he gives to the strangers and how much he gives to Maya, and that dynamic I think is really compelling and interesting and human. So that's what really drew me to him as a character.
I feel like it was honestly the giantness of the character arc, the excitement of being able to dive in head first to such a crazy behemoth journey. But also, I mean, Maya is, especially in horror films, which I'm a huge fan of, it's rare, but it's becoming more normal to see really headstrong females at the helm of these things. And so being able to have such a strong female protagonist who ultimately makes a lot of the decisions in our, you know, on-screen heterosexual relationship is very rare, I think, in horror films, and is becoming more normal. So that really excited me as well.
Exactly, so that we have a consistent arc within 3 movies, because your natural instinct might be when you're here, you know, at night in the middle of the forest in this scary situation, is just to go all out, start screaming and crying and just being totally hopeless. But if you do that in every scene, then the movie is just one thing and has no peaks and valleys. So you have to kind of figure out exactly where you are at all times. So it was challenging, but it was really rewarding also to be able to, instead of 1 hour-and-a-half movie, we have a 4.5-hour movie. So we really get to explore the characters and where they go and what these horrible events on the victims, what are the effects psychologically and physically, and also what makes the villains tick. I think that obviously there are various different genres in horror. There's zombie films and there's vampire things and there's supernatural things. But to me, the scariest is realistic horror, because as the audience you can relate to that and you can feel like that could be me in that situation. And that to me was the key to the 3 the Strangers movies, is to always keep it real. always make it relatable, always expose our deepest fears of being in our safest environment, which is our home. And you lock the doors and windows and you feel like this is my cocoon. But we are completely kind of, pulled into this artificial sense of safety. It's if somebody wants to break through that door or window or whatever, they can do it. And there are sociopathic perpetrators out there. And it's just a matter of luck. They say that every 32 seconds there's a violent crime in the United States. So it's pure luck if you just never end up in that wrong place at the wrong time and you sail through life safely. I think there are certain genres that the audience really enjoys seeing in a movie theater. And one of the strongest ones is horror films. And there's something about that experience that, first of all, seeing it alone at home is too scary. And secondly, you just don't get that communal experience, which is when there's fellow moviegoers and there's your partner and friends and so on. You are in that dark world of the movie theater, and you and the silver screen, and you get to relate to the story and the characters. You get to put yourself into the story. You get to live those cathartic experiences safely in your seat. You get to gasp and scream and then laugh a little bit because you're a little bit embarrassed that you screamed, but you realize everybody else jumped as well. So it's almost like a party in the movie theater. And that's why I think the only real great way to see a horror movie is in the theater.
That it can happen to any of us. I mean, that's what terrified me from the first movie, and from everything I've read and people that I know love it, was it was so stark and so real, and it's true terror. There's many subgenres of horror, and we can have fun with some of them. Some of them are horror comedy. We can laugh at some of them, but The Strangers was like this random act of violence. These people show up in masks. You don't even know why they're wearing these masks. Are they hiding their face? Is it part of their game that they have in their head? It's never explained, so we just never really know, right? They terrorize these people, because in the original Strangers, they could have been killed 12 times, but they purposely didn't kill them 12 times. Right. That's what I always believe, and I know a lot of people do. And then, after they've had enough fun with them, they just dispense with them as if they're nothing. And then what they say at the end is, next time it'll be easier, and they just drive on along down the road. And that's chilling, because those people actually live among us everywhere, and this could happen to you anywhere. In our milieu, we chose an Airbnb in the woods, but it could happen in an apartment in New York City. It could happen in a suburban neighborhood anywhere in the country. It could happen anywhere. And these people are out there. That's what makes this truly terrifying, and what drew me as a filmmaker to want to do it. One is that we got more money to make the movie. So as a filmmaker, by doing it all at once, you're able to amortize certain costs, and reuse certain locations, for example. So you get to put more money on the screen and add, to the stuff that you're doing, make it a higher quality, make it better. Mm-hmm. So I think that's singularly your biggest benefit as a filmmaker. It's kind of like when you would shoot 2 films at the same time. There's just a benefit that more can go on the screen, as opposed to having to re-prep the movie, and so you spend a whole bunch of money there that doesn't go on the screen, and other things. So that's one thing that's great. 2 that's great is the first time people go to make a movie, if it becomes like a success, and then there's a sequel, a year and a half passes maybe till they get on set again and they're doing that movie. But their whole mindset changed. You're not in it the same way you were, say, the first time you won the Olympics or something like that. In this, we got to make all of our chapters at the same time, with everybody like they were running the race in their first Olympics. And so that comes across on the screen. And that comes across in, the kumbaya attitude that everybody on the cast and crew had in putting this together. And that was really, really fun, because I've done sequels afterwards, sort of thing. And it wasn't that like, they've done 5 movies in between and now they're back to this and whatever else. And it was really great. I think that's one of the advantages. The hard thing is just keeping your head around it, right? Like, it's a lot. It's hard if it's one movie, here's your arc, and to really, do we get all the character beats that we need? Do we get all the story beats that we need? And that's hard enough to do in the first place. When it's a giant 289-page script, because it was one story, it's now divided into 3 chapters, your arc is like this, right? And literally you could walk in on Monday morning and start with the scene over here in the arc, and in the afternoon be doing a scene all the way over here, right? And then the next day flipping from here to there to here, depending on where you were and what the production requirements were on that day, locations, etc. And like, is the character in the right place when you're doing that part of the movie for this, deep into the large arc, but on day 2 of shooting, right? Because you're dictated by where you're shooting, and there's scenes happening from all movies in a lot of these locations. That's the part that's really difficult. And for the actors, it's super, for Madelaine, I can't even, still can't fathom how she could go from being Happy Maya that's driving in the first movie, like you see in the trailer, to Maya in movie 3, who's an entirely different person, right? And been through it, right? And do it in the same day, not to mention just the physicality of the change and the hair, the makeup, the wardrobe, and everything else, because putting all that stuff on takes a hot minute.